The Discourses of Christ of the Last Days. Words on Seeking and Practicing the Truth. Excerpt. People think practicing the truth is difficult, but then why are some people able to practice it? It all depends on whether the person loves the truth. Some people say that those who practice the truth are people with good humanity. This statement is correct. Some people have good humanity and are able to practice some truth. However, some people's humanity is lacking, and it is difficult for them to practice the truth, which means they have to suffer somewhat in order to do so. Tell me, does a person who does not practice the truth seek the truth in his actions? He does not seek it at all. He comes up with his own intentions and thinks that carrying them out will be good and in his own interest. So he acts according to these intentions of his. The reason he does not seek the truth is because there is something wrong with his heart. His heart is not right. He does not seek, does not examine, nor does he pray before God. He just stubbornly acts according to his own wishes. This type of person simply holds no love for the truth. Though he harbors no love for the truth, he may do certain things in keeping with principles and things that do not violate principles. However, such a lack of violation does not mean that he has sought God's will. It may only be said to be purely coincidental. Some people do certain things in a confused and haphazard fashion without seeking, but they are able to examine themselves after the fact. If they discover that doing such things is incompatible with the truth, they will refrain from doing so the next time. This may be considered having some measure of love for the truth. This kind of individual is capable of undergoing a degree of change. Those without love for the truth will neither seek it in the moment, nor will they examine themselves afterward. They never scrutinize whether the things they do are right or wrong in the end. Thus, they always violate principles and the truth. Even if they do something that does not violate principles, it is not aligned with the truth. And this so-called non-violation of principles is simply a matter of approach. So, what state is this type of person in when they act according to their own wishes? They are not acting in a dazed and muddle-headed state, and it wasn't as if they were unclear as to whether acting in this way was really in line with the truth or not. This is not the circumstance under which they find themselves. Rather, they stubbornly persist in acting according to their own wishes. They have set their mind to acting in that way, with absolutely no intention of seeking the truth. If they truly seek God's will before they fully come to understand God's will, they will consider the following course of action. I will first go ahead and do it this way. If it aligns with the truth, then I will carry on this way. If it does not conform to the truth, I will hurry and fix it and stop acting in such a manner. If they are able to seek the truth in this manner, they will be able to change in the future. Without this intention, they will be unable to change. A person who has a heart is only able to make a mistake once when undertaking a course of action, twice at the very most, once or twice, not 3 or 4 times. This is normal reason. If they are able to commit the same mistake 3 or 4 times, this proves that they have no love for the truth, nor do they seek the truth. This kind of person is definitely not an individual with humanity. If, after making a mistake once or twice, they have no reaction in their heart, no stirring of their conscience, then they will commit the same mistake 3 or 4 times, and this kind of person is simply unable to change. This is just who they are, completely irredeemable. If, after making a mistake once, they feel there's something wrong with what they have done, and they very much hate themselves for it and feel guilt in their heart, if they have this kind of state, they will act better when engaged in similar matters again, and gradually they will no longer commit the same kind of mistake. Even should they wish to in their heart, they will not act on it. This is one aspect of change. Perhaps you will say, "My corrupt disposition cannot change." Is it true that it cannot change? It's just that you do not wish to change. If you are willing to practice the truth, would you still be unable to change? People who say this lack willpower. They are all contemptible wretches. They are unwilling to endure suffering. They do not wish to practice the truth. Instead, they say that the truth cannot change them. Is not such a person highly deceitful? It is that they are unable to practice the truth. Their humanity is flawed, and yet they never know their own nature. They often doubt whether or not the work of God can make man complete. Such a person never intends to give their heart to God, never plans to endure hardship. The only reason why they stay here is merely on the off chance that they may gain good fortune in the future. This sort of person is bereft of humanity. If they were a person with humanity, even when the Holy Spirit is not obviously working upon them, and they have little understanding of the truth, could they engage in wrongful deeds? A person with humanity, regardless of whether or not the Holy Spirit is working upon them, will be unable to undertake wrongful deeds. Some people without humanity can only perform certain good deeds under the condition that the Holy Spirit is working upon them. Without the Holy Spirit working upon them, their nature is exposed. Who can always have the Holy Spirit working on them? Some among the unbelievers have good humanity. They also do not have the Holy Spirit working upon them, yet they do not engage in any particularly wicked acts. If you believe in God, how can you engage in wicked acts? This demonstrates the problem of human nature. Without the Holy Spirit working upon them, people's nature is exposed. With the Holy Spirit working on them, the Holy Spirit will move them, granting people enlightenment and illumination, furnishing them with a burst of strength, so they are able to perform some good deeds. In this case, this is not a matter of their nature being good, but rather a matter of the results achieved by the work of the Holy Spirit. But without the Holy Spirit working on them, people like to follow their own wishes, which leads to them unknowingly doing some bad things. Only then is their true nature revealed. How can people's nature be resolved? It starts with understanding the essence of human nature, which one must dissect according to God's words to see if it is positive or negative, and if it is resisting God or submitting to God. One must do this until they realize their nature essence, and then they can truly hate themselves and rebel against their flesh. At the same time, one must understand the will and demands of God. What is your goal in the pursuit of the truth? You must achieve changes in your life disposition. Once your disposition changes, you will gain the truth. With your current stature, how can you stop yourself from doing evil, resisting God, or doing things that violate the truth? You have to consider these matters if you want to change. To counter the problem of having a bad nature, you must grasp which corrupt dispositions you have and what you are capable of doing. You have to grasp which measures to take and how to put them into practice to control your bad nature. This is the key issue. When there is confusion in your mind or darkness in your soul, you must know how to seek the truth to resolve it, how to fulfill your duties properly, and how to take the right path. You must establish a principle for yourself. This depends on the will of an individual and whether or not they are a person that wants God. There is a person who often loses his temper. He made a plaque, and on it wrote the words, "Bridle your temper." Then he hung it on the wall of his study as a means of restraining himself and as a warning to himself. Maybe this is of some use, but can it fully resolve the problem? Absolutely not. Despite this, people should restrain themselves. At the forefront is the need to resolve the problem of their corrupt disposition. In order to resolve problems with their nature, they must begin by getting to know themselves. Only by seeing the essence of their corrupt disposition clearly can they hate themselves and rebel against the flesh. Rebelling against the flesh also requires having principles. Can one rebel against the flesh if they are muddle-headed? As soon as they encounter a problem, they give in to the flesh. Some people may stop in their tracks at the sight of a beautiful woman, in which case you must establish a motto for yourself. When a beautiful woman comes up to you, should you leave, or what are you to do? What should you do if she reaches out to hold your hand? If you have no principles, facing such a situation will cause you to stumble. What should you do if you find yourself blinded by greed at the sight of money and wealth? You should specifically put your mind to this problem and focus on training yourself to resolve it. And in time, you will gradually be able to rebel against the flesh. In the matter of resolving a corrupt nature, there is a principle which is quite crucial, and that is that you should bring all your issues before God and examine yourself. In addition, every evening, you must examine your conditions from that day and scrutinize your own behavior. Which of your acts were done in accordance with the truth, and which were in violation of principles? This is yet another principle. These 2 points are most vital. Regarding the first, you must reflect on yourself when your corruption is revealed. Regarding the second, you must reflect on yourself and seek the truth after the fact. A third point is that you have to be clear about what it means to practice the truth and act with principle. If you can truly understand these matters, then you can do things correctly. If you adhere to these 3 principles, you can restrain yourself, preventing you from revealing or manifesting your corrupt nature. These are the basic principles for resolving your nature. With these principles in place, if you try to work toward the truth and stay within a normal state, even when the Holy Spirit does not work on you, or if you go a long stretch of time without anybody providing you with fellowship, then you are a person who loves the truth and rebels against the flesh. Those who always depend on others to fellowship the truth and prune them are slaves. Such people have a handicap and are unable to live independently. Those who act without principles will act recklessly and lose control of themselves if they are not pruned or fellowshipped with for some time. How can such a person reassure God? So, you must abide by these 3 principles to solve the problem of nature. This will keep you from committing major transgressions and ensure that you do not resist or betray God.